You are now listening to CTR Media Network.
What up, family? CTR Media Network. Yeah. Best in the biz. Yeah. Join the team. CTR is who we are, the media network, that's the best by far. Whether you listen at your home, at your job, in your car, come get the information that's needed above all, never lasting. Motivational podcasting, giving you the answers to the questions.
This is Alethea Tucker, I should say Dr. Alethea Tucker, and she is leveling up the podcast on CTR Media Network.
That's me. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks to her, my podcast is doing great.
350 million, they tuning in. We in 50 different countries, we all can. And like-minded, find your purpose and your assignment. Come get your fix, your feel, your mental alignment. Get active and speak to the masses. Build your influence, all levels and all classes. Now you know you can monetize and grow. CTR Media Network, start the show. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR is who we are. The media network, that's the best by far, you know. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network.
The Vera and Tommy Show. 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 Let's talk about it. 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 On the Vera Time Show. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Hello. I am so happy to see you all here today. I am so excited about my guest. Her name is Janice Kenyatta. And let me pull her up. Hello, Miss Janice. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am excited that you are here with me today. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to share with our audience a little bit about you, and then I'm going to give you the floor. So let me just tell them a little bit about Janice Kenyatta. Born and raised in both Newark and Orange, New Jersey, Janice Kenyatta is a retired educator and school administrator. In her last professional position, Janice served as the Experiential Learning Internship Manager at Northampton Community College in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Prior to that position, she held the positions of Director of Tech Prep, Career Coach, Adjunct Professor, and Career Placement Specialist at Northampton Community College. With over 40 years of experience in career and technical education, Janice has taught high school business education, adjunct business courses at several community colleges, and for 6 years, she was the first African American and first woman to serve as supervisor of career and technical education at Essex County Vocational and Technical Schools, located in northern New Jersey. She has her master's in business education and holds a postgraduate supervisory certification in career and technical education in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. She currently resides in Wind Gap, PA. Janice is the mother of 2 daughters and grandmother of identical twin granddaughters. She is co author of the book Black Folks Hair Revisited: Secrets, Shame, and Liberation. In her retired life, Janice has renewed her love for writing meaningful children's books and for interior decorating. Throughout her life, Janice's motto has always been, the more we learn, the less we fear. Amen. Amen. The more we learn, the less we fear. I love that. I love that. Now, you've done a lot of things with adult continuing education and high school. And here you have a book for children. So I'd like for you to share with us your journey and how is it that you got to writing children's books with all the experience and education that you've had working with adults. So
Sure.
I'm going to give you the floor.
Absolutely. And first and foremost, I want to thank you for having me on your show. I'm very excited to be here. So I get asked very often, what led you to write a children's book? So you're not the first person to ask me that. So it's a kind of a twisty, long, windy road. So I want to start from the beginning. I want to go back because I actually wrote this children's book about 24 years ago. And
Oh
everybody
my
looks at
God.
me like, "Oh, really?" And here we are in 2023. But I wrote this book 24 years ago. And I need to go back even before then as to why I wrote the book. I forgot that I wrote the book, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but I forgot that I wrote the book actually 24 years ago. And I didn't write, I rewrote it, not rewrote it, but I tweaked it and published it in 2021, 2022 rather, somewhere around that time is when I started. But to go back as to how this all started, as you mentioned in my bio, my ex-husband Carmen Kenyatta and I we co-wrote a book together called Black Folks Hair, and back then the first edition was called Black Folks Hair: Secrets, Shame, and Liberation. And that book was a psychological, historical, and sociological survey or study, I should say, of why Black women, many Black women of that time, straightened their hair, and many still do. And as you can imagine, it's a very volatile subject. We got a lot of press about the book, and we were traveling and promoting the book, and we talked to many, many, many women about this subject of hair straightening. And to make a long story short, during that time period before we wrote the book, I was also transitioning myself from straight hair, chemically straightened hair, to my natural hair, wearing my natural curls. And a lot of that came from the encouragement of my husband at the time, Kamal, who mentioned to me, "Well, why do you straighten your hair?" And I really had no reason, like a lot of Black women, other than that, well, everybody else does it. But that was my reason. But there were other reasons that other women gave, that they hated their hair. It was hard to manage in its natural state. And just a myriad of reasons why Black women straighten their hair. So during that time period, once we wrote the book and we were writing the book, I was also going through my hair journey to wear my natural hair, which I do now for 30 years. I've been wearing my natural hair. But during that time, my husband at the time said something to me that was key. He said to me, "Remember, we had 2 daughters who were very young at the time. Maybe one wasn't even born at that time, or she was just born, but maybe they were very early, 2, 3, 4." And he said to me, "These girls are going to do exactly what you do. Remember that." And I that was profound for me. I thought about it and I said, he's exactly right. If they see me straightening my hair, they want to do the same thing. And I actually witnessed the older one, Aaliyah. I had the curling iron plugged in one morning, and I already have naturally curly hair, so I'm straightening my hair. Now I have the curling iron putting the curl back in my hair, which didn't make sense once I thought about it. But I noticed she started to imitate me curling her hair with the curling iron, and I said, he is exactly right. She's imitating me. So that was one avenue, one road that caught my attention in terms of the children learning about accepting themselves, who they are, and loving themselves. But then one day I was teaching a high school class, and it was at the end of class. And I heard a group of students talking before they left out. And one of the students, a little young Black girl, about 16, 17, she said, "I hate my hair." She said, "Black people's hair is a curse." Now you can imagine, I was mortified when I heard her say that. Black people's hair is a curse. And so it really struck me. And that's when I said to come out, I said, I'm going to write a children's book, because it's bad. The first book we wrote was for adults, and it was written in adult form. But then I thought to myself, children need to hear this as children. Parents are our children's first teachers.
Absolutely. I say that all the time. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So that was the impetus that got my creative juices flowing. Let me write a children's book, and I'm going to call it Just As It Is. I had the same title 24 years ago when I wrote it, Just As It Is. I typed up the manuscript. I barely remember this because it was 20-something years ago, but I typed the manuscript up, and I put it up. And life got in the way. And we were doing so many things. We built a house in the Poconos. We moved there. We were in the house for 18 years. And when we unfortunately separated back in 21 and we sold the house, he called me and he said, "Do you know that you wrote this book, this children's book?" And I was shocked. I said, "No way," because I completely forgot about it. He said, "Yes, you wrote this book." And I said, "I completed it?" I thought I just wrote half of it. He said, "It's done. You will have a whole manuscript." And he said, "It's a great book. You need to do something with this book." And so I was retired at the time, just retired from teaching the grown folks, the older people.
Yes.
And so he brought the manuscript over. The manuscript was in the attic of the house that we built. And it was in his stuff in the attic in a box. And it was there for at least 20 years.
Wow.
So I always say that was divine intervention.
Right. And for such a time as this.
Yes. It's still a timely subject.
Yes.
I
Absolutely.
only had to tweak a little bit to bring it up to the 21st century. But
well, it's an awesome book. I've read it. I'm getting it for my granddaughters. And my great nieces. It's a wonderful book. And I want to acknowledge one of our listening audience. Hello, Lenora. She says, "Hello, everyone. Blessings and prayers." Yes, thank you for listening. Thank you so much. And your story, this is just so awesome. Now, and it's timely because you realize they're now saying that processing our hair and using chemicals and all that stuff is causing cancer.
Absolutely.
And all kinds of physical illnesses. And
we actually wrote that in the book. In our book back then, we wrote that. Yes. We knew it back then. Yes. We did a whole chapter on the health issues of chemically straightening your hair. Also hot comb straightening, but chemically straightening was even more detrimental.
Yes, because it's going into your system.
Absolutely.
It's going into your system. And so, yes, so this is a very timely book. And I want people to buy the book, so we're not I don't want to get into the whole story, but it's a beautiful story about a mother and a father and how they both embraced their daughter and how they made her feel and how other kids, because we have bullying and all this other kind of stuff, which you really kind of touch on a little bit in this book.
Yes.
So I'm going to shut up. Go ahead.
If I can tell you, I did that by design. Couple of things. The book is loosely based on my daughters, specifically the older daughter, because when she was younger and I decided to lock my hair. I wore locks for many years, about 18 years. She loved the locks and she wanted to get locks. Her father had locks, I had locks, and she wanted them. And so eventually, when she had a head full of hair, and it was like World War III, combing her hair, and I knew locks would be, once we locked them in, would be very simple to groom her hair. And it's a beautiful way to wear your hair. I mean, I love it. And so we locked her hair when she was 7, which is similar to the character in the book. We locked her hair when she was 7, and then the younger one, Ayana, just because the older one had her hair locked and her father and her mother did, she wanted hers. So they used to call us the Lock family. We all had we all had locks. But one of the reasons you see the cover is by design. The reason why you see a mother and a father is because that to me is one of the it depicts the nucleus family, a mother, a father, and the child. And I did that by design. I wrote that years ago, and I didn't change that concept. So what people read in the book is strictly by design and suggestion.
And and that's books should be that way. They should allow for critical thinking. They
Yes.
should allow for people to really begin to look at themselves inside of the story. And little girls, I mean, my granddaughters, they have, oh man, they've got all this beautiful, thick
Yes.
hair.
Yes.
And this your little girl in here reminds me of my one daughter. Her name is Aaliyah as well.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's spelled differently, but
Mhm.
she has heard as I read this story, I immediately thought about Aaliyah because her hair is so thick
Mhm.
and beautiful, just beautiful. And
And that's
you know,
key. You just said the key word, beautiful.
beautiful, yes.
You didn't say it in a positive, in a negative way. And see, that's why I wrote the book, because it's not only for children, it's for parents, adults to understand the way we talk about ourselves and the way we talk about our features and our hair. Because the book has a 2-part meaning for me. The way we talk about ourselves, it goes into the children hear this.
Yes.
Now, if you tell them, and we used to do this to our little girls, we used to tell them every night that they were beautiful. And I know their father used to kiss them and say, "You're beautiful, princess." He told them this every single day. And so the way you talk to them and the way you and then they saw their parents or their mom wearing her natural hair. So the way you talk to them is the way that they are going to grow up.
I'm
But
telling you,
by the same token, which is the reason, the other part of the book, what I want to emphasize, it's not just for little Black children, it's for everybody, because what it does, it has a degree of self-esteem, self-image, in the sense that once you grow up as a young person, loving your features, your whether it's your hair, your nose, your complexion, your
yes, yes.
booty, your mouth,
Yes,
whatever.
yes. Well, I want to show this
Yes,
because you're not just talking to young Black girls. You're talking to girls, period.
that's right.
And so that's the beauty of it. And
Absolutely.
and like you said, being able to accept
Exactly.
who we are,
Yes.
regardless.
Yes. And then on the flip side of the coin, appreciate and accept other people from different cultural and ethnic backgrounds, what they have. They're God-given people.
Exactly.
I mean, this is, again, as you mentioned, it crosses over into the bullying aspect of life. And we see so much of that. I think about the 14-year-old young girl who committed suicide in New Jersey. I forget what school that was in, because the kids bullied her.
Yes.
And they do that when kids are different. This has to be taught in the home at an early age, that you don't
Early age,
Yeah.
absolutely. And what people, and I often think, because when it comes to bullying and having grown up being bullied myself,
Mhm.
this book means a lot to me because I can relate to so much of it. Not so much the hair part,
Yeah,
but definitely the other parts of it. But
absolutely.
being able to recognize, because Eleanor Roosevelt, and this is something I try so hard when I'm working with young people to get them to understand. A lot of times we don't have any control over who our parents are. We don't have any control over how adults may react, relate, or respond to us. But what we have control over is, as Eleanor Roosevelt said, no one can make me feel inferior
Mhm.
without my permission. So once we ingrain that, in this book is a perfect example of helping people understand it doesn't matter what other people say. It doesn't matter how other people perceive you. What matters is how we perceive and see ourselves.
Perfectly
And
said.
that's why this book is just so awesome. Just as it is. I love
That's
it.
right. Very simple, but just as it is. Now there are certain things, and I should clarify. There are certain things that we as individuals do to enhance our features. I'm talking about when someone looks like, for instance, when it comes to the hair. If you want to put color in your hair, that's one thing. But to alter the natural texture of your hair because you think it's a curse and it's ugly and bad,
But
that's
but
a
let's,
whole thing.
I know, but let's face it. We've grown up to believe that. You
Absolutely.
know, all the studies that have gone on where they put little black children and white children together, and then the black child would, when asked, who's the pretty one here? And they
Yes.
would choose the white person over themselves because we were conditioned.
And you know why that is? That's from well, now social media, but before it was the media, TV. It showed the standard of beauty was straight
Exactly.
blonde hair. Blonde was
Right.
always the standard
Blue,
of beauty.
right. And blue
Straight blonde hair and
eyes.
blue eyes. And then
Yeah.
when we wrote the hair book for the first book, the hair book, we got calls and letters. And back then, letters, we weren't getting emails back then. We getting letters from all over the world from women who were white and who also went through the same self-esteem issue as children because their hair was not straight. It could have been a young Jewish girl. Her hair was
Curly
curly.
hair. Yeah.
And she told me, literally, she had to iron her hair on the ironing board because the kids teased her because her hair was not straight like theirs. You see, that's why I wrote the book. So it's many reasons.
Absolutely. And the beauty of it is once we recognize, and we've got a comment coming in. Yes, we want to hear your comments. Okay. Oh, Kamal. He's saying you have a great style of interviewing, Vera, and Janice is always on target. Yes. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. So the thing, oh my God, this is so full of wisdom, insight, education, and we need for our, I mean, there was just a study done with CDC about the images that our young girls are having towards themselves. This is this is so timely.
And I'll give you another example of why it's timely. And I put it on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is it's a little different to get to the audiences. But on LinkedIn, I see often, and I've seen it. I just saw it last week, where there's still so much work to be done in this area, where you have actually Black women putting their LinkedIn headshot, their professional headshot, with their natural hair, and they're putting it on LinkedIn so everybody can see it and saying words like, I'm so happy and I feel so good about myself that I can put my picture up with my natural hair. Like, what is that? I've been doing that for years.
But come on, let's face it. So often, I mean, people have been denied jobs because of their hair. And I remember getting a director's job, and I changed my appearance.
Of course.
And when I changed my appearance, their perception and their attitude towards me changed.
Yes.
And so to feel proud, to be able to wear Afrocentric hairstyles and feel comfortable in your skin, that took a long time coming.
And it's still, that's why, I don't know if you're familiar with the Crown Act. That's what the Crown Act is all about. You cannot discriminate against hairstyles in the workplace. We talk about that in our book 30 years ago. But it's still happening. It's still a thing. Some people say, oh, hair, what's the big deal? It's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
And your self-image of yourself and how other people think, what other people think about you.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important that we have that solid self-esteem and that solid confidence, because we can no longer afford to allow other people to determine who we are, how we should think, and what we should do, and how we should look.
Yes. We already have this going on in Florida with the governor who wants to taught in African studies classes. We already have this going on, and so it's still not over. It's still a thing.
And it's and the sad is so sad. It is so sad that we have to keep going back to this over and over and over again. And that's because if we refuse to admit what our history is, we
Yes.
are doomed to repeat it.
Absolutely.
And that's why we're going through all this stuff. You know, we need to allow critical race theory to exist and tell the and there are, I know we're
but it's interrelated. What you're saying,
it is, and we need to clearly understand that not only is it important for us as African Americans to know our history, but it's important for our nation to recognize what this country has done, not only to African Americans, but to Japanese, to China, to every foreigner that came here.
Native
went
Americans
through something.
Yeah. How about Native Americans who were here already?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And you know what? I got to go to a commercial. But I will be back.
Okay.
I will be back. Let me do this right quick.
We are having an event February 24th to the 26th in the beautiful city of Miramar Cultural Center, only 25 minutes away from Miami. Founder Kessa Guden and Commissioner Maxwell B. Chambers of the city of Miramar is putting on a huge event called a Global Awaken Summit and VIP Gala. We would love for you to be there. This is an event you don't want to miss. We have over 35 speakers, each speaker's worth ranging from $3,000 to see them live in person. But at the Global Awaken Summit, you can get your ticket now for only $97. Call 725-200-1773 now. Or on our website, www.globalawakenedevents.com. We look forward to seeing you there.
$97 for a conference that includes professional speakers that are paid $3,000 minimum to speak. $97. You want to call 725-200-1773. $97 for this conference that's coming up this weekend. So check it out. Either call or go to their website. All right. So I needed to do that. All right. Now, let me. Okay. All right. So back to what we were saying. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So we have another comment. Let's see. All right, Laverne Belton, she says, great interview. Thank you very much. She's a great interviewee. So back to, let's look at the condition that we're in right now and why this book is so timely, because you're talking about acceptance.
Yes.
And you're talking about acceptance at an early age.
Absolutely.
So one of the things I want to ask you, if you can just kind of share with our audience some key points of things that a parent can do, because like you said, parents are our children's first teachers. They are our first teachers. And so what we give them is what is going to pour out of them. So I want you to kind of answer that question.
Well, parents, and I'm speaking from experience. Parents have to affirm and confirm with their children how they look. I mean, I'm talking also from experience, because I know. I mean, I went as a child. I went through some body issues, largely due because my mother. There were certain things that she said about. And I don't like using the fat word, but certain things she would say to me about getting fat and not getting fat and all that. She didn't really know what she was saying, but those suggestions of, going to a young kid's head, and it could go with them and stay with them through the rest of their lives and make them do certain things that they may probably would not otherwise not have done. So to give you an example with our children, when they were young girls, little girls, and their hair was locked. Back then, a lot of kids were not wearing locked hair. And we moved to a from a diverse area in New Jersey. We built a house in a pretty white area in the Poconos. And so I had to sit the girls down and say to them, your skin color is already going to be different from the from the larger audience and the student population. So when you go there, you have to be proud, carry yourself in a proud way about your locked hair, because it's different. And they're going to, not only white people, but black people are going to look at you, because they're not used to seeing your hair twisted like that and getting longer and longer. And they're going to ask you all kinds of questions, like they did me when but the kids are a little bit different. They're a little more blunt in terms of the types of questions they ask. They don't have any filters.
Right.
So you may get asked, because I know I did, do you wash your hair? Don't get upset.
Or they might want to touch your hair.
Oh, they always want to touch it. They always want to touch it. I said, but don't get upset. Use that as an opportunity to teach them about the differences that you have from them. Your hair is hair, and it's groomed in a different way, perhaps from other black people as well, but it's groomed in a different way, and it's clean. Your parents wash your hair, and it's nice and clean. Educate the masses. Don't just get upset and get an attitude and feel bad about yourself. So one of the things parents have to do, you have to be in tune to your child as well, but you have to, be there to explain to them, and don't use negative words even to describe other people about, they look dirty, or they're a group of overweight people, or just anything derogatory. You don't want to have that type of energy in your home.
No, you don't.
You want to keep it on a positive level as it relates to others outside the home, and as it relates to you and your children inside the home. And I know that's kind of hard to do. A lot of parents have not been trained that way themselves.
Exactly. And you can't teach what you don't know, and you can't give what you don't have.
Absolutely. Our kids just happen to be in a little bit of a situation where I was an educator. And I think I came out of the womb educating. It's in my blood. I don't care what I do. And I'm an information geek, and I like to educate. So they were fortunate, or blessed, I should say, in the sense that they had me. And then, of course, they had their father that worked with me. And they grew up with really good self-esteem, but they didn't put other people down. They had friends from every background and ethnic culture you can think of. And I think that's a beautiful thing. But
it is. And just think, we would not have all these problems that we're having today, with the hatred and the non-acceptance and the bigotry and the prejudice. We wouldn't have all of that
if it was taught. Yes.
If parents was teaching, just like with you, I raised my son as a single mom, but he had friends from every culture, every walk of life. Because you have to instill that in them from a very early age. You cannot wait. And because if we wait, then what we're doing is allowing society and other people to determine their values and what's important to them. It needs to be taught in the home.
Once they get out into the world, it becomes a whole different ball game.
That's why they have to have this strong constitution. That's taught in the home,
Yes, absolutely. And if I can't introduce my next the project I'm working on.
Yes.
That ties in with what you're saying.
Yes.
One of the things that I found out is that, from having little girls, is that when you go to the stores during Kwanzaa or Christmas or whatever, birthdays, and you're looking for little black dolls, it could be a problem. It's getting better, but it depends on what area you go into, whether or not you're going to find dolls that look like your children. Because let's face it, children need to see images of themselves.
Absolutely.
I have no problem with that. So after I wrote the book, I don't know, I was sitting down and I got this epiphany. I want to make a doll. I want to create a doll. I want to create a doll that mirrors the main character, Abena, which is Ghanaian she was born on Tuesday, and that's what I say in the book. But I wanted to have, it seems like I'm not holding it straight, but anyway. So I wanted to have
bring it over a little.
I wanted to have a character that looked like this young lady who is 6 years old. She's about to be 7 in the book. And so I am working with a designer to develop a doll in her image. And here is my first prototype. It's
And
called
it's beautiful.
Cut and Paste Doll. She's
And
soft
it looks just like her. It looks
Yes.
just like her.
Yes. She's soft and cuddly. She's got natural hair. She wears it up like the character. She has an outfit on that she also has in the book. And her name is the Abena Plush Doll. So I am working with a designer. This is my first iteration or first prototype. I'm waiting for the second one because I want the jacket. The jacket can come off, but I want the jacket to be Velcro. So it looks a little neater. And if you see, these are her pants, her little sneakers.
Yeah.
And so I'm very proud of this.
Yes.
It's a work in progress.
And it looks just like the picture in the book. I'm telling
Well,
you.
I know.
It does.
Yes.
It does. It
I
does.
have to thank the my designers, my designers people. They did a drawing, a rendering, and then I approved it. And it's just a step-by-step process. So I'm hoping to get these out. It's a process to get a doll developed and manufactured. But I want to offer this with the book as well. Of course, it'll be for a price, but
yes.
But they'll love it because it's nice and cuddly.
Yeah, and that would make a great Christmas package.
Yes.
The book and the doll.
Yes.
That's awesome. I have a cousin that's doing the same thing. She writes children books, and she has rag dolls that she's created. So then she's in PA also.
Oh, she's in PA.
Yeah, she's
my competition. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
So one thing I do want to say to my listening audience: listen, I need your support, please. If you like this show, and if you glean from the show and get things from this, if this show inspires, motivates, and educates, and uplifts you, then please help support it. You can go to Cash App, $Instill Greatness, or PayPal and or Zelle, Vera Thomas Show 1117 at gmail.com. I need your support. So please support my show. And we have some more comments coming in. Okay, let's see. Okay. That doll is an excellent compliment to the book and will be a hit. Yes, it will be. I believe that. And I think it's beautiful how you and Kamal have such a beautiful relationship, even though you're not married anymore. I think that's beautiful. I really do.
He actually published the book. He's my publisher.
Oh my goodness, that is so awesome. Why can't people get along?
I don't know, but we fortunately we don't have that type of relationship. We have children together, we have grandchildren together, and we act like
siblings. Yes, that's beautiful. And then Pat Hudson, she says, love it.
Thank you. That's my cousin too. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. And then Johnny Griffin, this is a great interview, very informative. I love the book. Awesome. Johnny Johnson Griffin. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, please buy this book. I know Christmas is over, but you need to purchase this book for birthdays just because.
Yes. And,
it doesn't have to be an occasion.
And if I can talk about the author's readings too, because that's key also to my work. And I've done 2 so far, and I'm looking forward to another one. And I tell you, it warms my heart. If they go on my website, they can see pictures of it. To sit in front of a group of little kids, 4 and 5 years old,
and
open this book and read it and show the pictures. You should see their faces. And I can actually see, because I try to interact and engage with them. I don't just read. I show them pictures. I ask them questions about their hair, their nose, their mouth. I engage with them because they're more, which is a new experience for me.
Yes.
But it warms my heart to see their facial expressions and the look that I get.
Listen. Okay, Dr. Tina, she says, hello, ladies. She's also saying, like, follow, share, and subscribe. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, please. And then Lenora, you got a customer. She says, I want the book and the doll. So fantastic.
Well, the doll is not out yet, but she can always
email her. We've got the email scrolling, so please get her email.
If they want an autographed copy,
Yes.
email me. But if you want to just get it right away, as far as the book is concerned, you can get it from Amazon.
Yes. Yes. And then donate to the Vera Thomas Show. Yes, please, please, please.
I did.
Yes. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Now, I do need to go to another commercial, and then we will be right back.
Okay.
All right.
We want to give a shout out to our CTR Media Network sponsor, Terry Coleman from GlobalKeyCapital.com. Global Key Capital is a lender specialized in customized financing solutions. They pride themselves in being one of the industry's most reliable and proven lending groups. At Global Key Capital, their customers are their number one priority, and they strive to provide all of their clients with competitive pricing, unbeatable customer service, and stress-free processing. If you are looking for your next dream home or investment property, give Terry Coleman a call at 866-325-6267. Again, that number is 866-325-6267. GlobalKeyCapital.com.
The Vera Thomas Show.
Yes, donate, subscribe, and like, please. Okay, we have someone else is saying, so inspiring. Let that lovely light shine, Janet. Yes, yes, yes. Let your light shine. Amen. We appreciate the feedback that we're getting. We really appreciate that. So keep them coming. Keep them coming. Thank you. All right. Now, Janice, there's some other things. Now, are you still doing career development kinds of things on the side, or are you fully retired?
I have gotten a few requests to talk to students about careers and how to look for careers. I did something on Zoom regarding that. I think with a group, a friend of mine, she's the CEO of a Parent Matters. I don't know if you've heard of her, Rona Vega in Teaneck. And I did something for her to help her, just to help the juniors, upcoming seniors, figure out how to find a career, identify a career. So I did a lot of that before I retired, but now my passion
is with these kids. Yes.
It's shifted a tad bit.
I understand.
I'm also involved in interior decorating.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I got certified. I got certified to be an interior decorating, and I am working with a client right now, and I have worked with another client. But again, my passion, again, it's the educator in me that feels that this love of oneself and love of other people has to come from from the home and with children.
Yes.
So that's what I'm really, really involved in. But I'm doing so many things, because the other thing is I'm going to be speaking about the first book, which will tie in with this children's book, because they kind of go hand in hand as well, because that's where it all started, with the first book.
Right.
So I'm keeping pretty busy with this whole self-esteem, diversity, inclusion, self-image.
Yes. It's so important. And your path and my path are kind of along the same lines, really, because I work with kids as well, building confidence and self-esteem.
We need more of it.
Important. And parents, parents can't teach what they don't know. And so oftentimes parents are coming into parenting with their own unresolved issues.
Yes.
And they can't get past their own unresolved issues in order to make a difference in their children's lives. So,
it's a cycle.
Yes. Okay. Now he said, yes, I'm getting ready to do that now. Show us a copy of the first book. Oh, do you have it? Do you have a copy of the first book?
I can run get it real quick. I got access.
Well, I tell you what, let me do another commercial while you're doing that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get it.
All right, great.
Hello, everybody. I am Dr. Tina J. Ramsey, and I want to share with you about CTR Media Network. Have you heard? CTR Media Network is a new standard of podcasting with over 30 plus podcasters. We reach 350 million global listeners worldwide in over 50 plus countries across all major podcasting and social media platforms. We have featured over 1,000 guests. What we specialize in is helping business owners, entrepreneurs, coaches, and fellow podcasters expand their visibility on our platform. We're all about positioning with visibility, connections, and teaching you how to monetize what you do. Let me tell you something. If you're a business owner, we have sponsorships opportunities. We have commercial slots. We also have opportunities for you to be a featured guest on any of our shows. So what are you waiting for? CTR Media Network is who we are, and this is where you need to be. So go to ctrmedianetwork.com and click our store feature so that you can see which opportunity fits your life and your budget so that we can get started working with you today.
CTR Media Network. Let me tell you, if you want to know about podcasting, if you want to improve your podcasting or your shows like this, you want to contact CTR Media Network right now. And if you're interested in wanting to advertise with me or any other one of the podcasters, but me particularly, please, then by all means, talk to me about advertising or even sponsoring a show. Thank you very much. All right. Now back. Let's see the book.
Oh, okay. So this is Black Folks Hair, Secret Shame,
I
and
love the
Liberation.
cover.
Secret Shame and Liberation. And it's a small book, but not as small as you think. It's very comprehensive from a male and a female perspective about, that's Carmen Kenyatta, my ex-husband, that's me over here. And it's about, again, as I mentioned, historical, sociological, and psychological reasons where all this came from in terms of wanting to chemically and hot comb, straighten our hair. We go all the way back to the enslavement experience because that's where it began.
Yes.
And so, as you can well imagine, it could be a very volatile subject. We try to make, back then when we were promoting the book, and even now, I try to make women understand we're not putting you down because you make your hair straight. There's a psychological reason where all this came from, and you should be aware of it. Then you can make an intelligent decision of whatever you want to do.
Amen. Informed decision.
Informed decision.
Absolutely.
Yes,
and understand.
Most people just do it because they just do it.
Right. But a lot of people do it because they don't like the way they look otherwise.
That too. Absolutely.
It can be an issue. It can be an issue. And we really, and as I say this, I'm talking to myself as well.
Oh yeah. Well, most of us have the journey. For me, it was more generational. It was just, my mother did it. My grandmother did it. Her grandmother did it. I never gave it a real good thought as to why did I straighten my hair. But, now once I figured it out, like, why do I straighten my hair?
Yes. Now, is that book also available on Amazon?
Yes. If they go on my website, if people go on my website, you'll see this on the About the Author. They will see this book as well. So I'm the author of 2 books now.
Okay, and her website is www.janicekenyatta.com.
Yes.
And it's scrolling down at the bottom here. And we've got another comment coming in. She says, how long before the doll is ready?
Bane of my existence.
She's working on it as she talks.
I am working on it. I'm waiting for the second prototype because I want to get the doll that I'm happy with.
Absolutely.
And so I'm waiting for the second prototype to come in, which should have been in already. But whenever it comes in, if everything's good, I will approve it. And then the next step would be manufacturing. And who knows how long
keep me posted because I know Lenora, and I will get in touch with her.
I will keep you posted.
She'll keep me posted, and I'll keep you posted, Lenora.
Yes.
And anyone else that is interested in the doll.
What? I also want to make the point as well while we're on this subject. This book is not just the children's book is not neither book, but the children's book specifically is not just for girls. It's not just for girls. Boys can also benefit from it. But of course, there's an explanation that comes with it by the parent. You can't just give it to them. They read this. You want to explain to them because they also, they also contribute to the self-esteem of young girls. They grow up to be men.
Yes, they do.
Be men.
And the self-esteem of themselves. I remember being in a class doing my program in a school. And she says,
let my sister know for me.
Okay, yes. But I was working with kids, and this particular session, we had mothers come to the school during the school day. And this little boy, a little black boy, 10 years old, under his breath, he said, I can't stand and look at myself in the mirror. And I said, what did you say? And he said, I can't stand to look at myself in the mirror. Oh my God. But the beauty was all his classmates, all these little kids surrounded him and showed him so much love and told him how wonderful he was. And all this, it was a tearjerker. Let me tell you. So I'm saying that to say, yes, little boys have self-esteem issues as well. And Kamal is saying, very good point about the boys being exposed to the book, because as men, they can become a problem. Yes. Men need to recognize and understand and appreciate women for their beauty, for who they are, and the name calling. Stop it.
Yes.
Stop it.
Yes. We've met couples who the man did not want the woman to wear her natural hair. And you still feel that's still today. That's not just 20 years ago. Today, you have some men, well, no, straighten your hair, because they want to see a different look that they've been brainwashed to think is beauty as well. So I just want people to understand that point. It's not just a woman thing. It's also for the boys and the men as well.
Absolutely. And, I was looking at Tamron show today, and she was talking to men and fathers about being more sensitive and more understanding and owning their thoughts and their feelings, which is a whole nother topic for discussion. Kamal, he's going to be on next week, so maybe we can even touch on that next week as well. So
I actually sent my book to her. I haven't heard from him yet.
Did you?
I did with the nice letter, and I sent it snail mail, and I sent the book to them with some information, but I haven't heard back.
Well, we claim that you're going to be on Tamron's show. Okay. We claim that. We claim that right now. You're going to be on her show. Well, listen, you won't believe this. We've got 7 more minutes. I'm going to play one more commercial, and then I'm going to give you the floor to close us out and to just kind of share your thoughts and some things, okay?
Sure.
All right, great. So let me do this.
Reality today with Ms. Mac Marketing. 848-236-5026.
One. If you want to know more about sound money benefits and how we can take ownership of our finances, go to www.soundmoneybenefits.com and find out more about how we can gain more control over our finances and not allow the government to do everything that it's doing with our dollar. All right. I am going to be quiet. I am going to give you the floor, and I'm going to let you close us out with your thoughts of wisdom. And I am going to continue to scroll down here how they can sign up for you, get your book, and get in touch with you. Okay, so I'm going to give you the floor.
So I don't rush through it. First and foremost, I do want to thank you, Vera, for giving me the platform and allowing me to come on your show and to promote and talk about the book and why I wrote it. And I just want to thank you so much for that. I think you have a lovely podcast. And I need to start looking at more of your podcasts because I think they're very educational and very enlightening and informative. So thank you so much for having me on. So now I want to go back to the reason why I wrote the book, and I want to end this evening to kind of bring it all together. My motivation to bring it together for this book would be first and foremost my children, which are my two girls. And now, of course, my identical twin granddaughters who are 8 and they'll be 9 in a couple of weeks. So, of course, I had them read this book, and I tested them on it. That's the teacher in me again. But to wrap it all up, the real reason why I wrote this book, the overarching reason, is to change the way people think about themselves, and that's could be anybody. That could be, I don't care what ethnic background you are. But I want people to change. I wanted people to change the way they think about themselves. That's very important. And of course, we know it starts as a child. But also, by the same token, I want people to change the way they view other people. And I know that's an awesome task, an awesome responsibility, but it can be done a little bit at a time. It can be chipped away a little bit at a time. Change how you think about yourself. Change how you view and think about others. And then I think this would be a much better world and perhaps a more peaceful world. And I know that's an awesome thing to say, but
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yes.
Just think, if we showed more love, if we showed much more love towards ourselves, if we allowed our children to recognize who they are and then value and appreciate and accept others for who they are, just think. What a wonderful world this would be,
It sounds like a simple thing, but unfortunately,
we make things more difficult.
Yes.
If we could just show more love, it's easier. I mean, oh my God, I could go on. It's easier to be mean and evil and all that kind of stuff, but it takes a toll on your own health. Absolutely. It takes a toll on everything. And so let's show love, be love, be love, be love. Just like you've shown love. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you.
And we've got another show that's coming up right after this. And so what I'm going to do is air my intro, and then I'm going to come back with my guests for the second half. And so again, Janice, thank you so much. Normally, I like to talk to people after the show, but I don't have time to do that today. So we'll talk. Yes, we will.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to the audience. I appreciate it.
Thank you. God bless. And I'll talk to you again soon.
Yes, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right. So we've got coming up our authors, Dr. E and she's coming on right now to talk letters to corporate sisters. In the meantime, let me do my show and then we'll be back with them.
The Vera and Thomas Show. The Vera and Thomas Show. The Vera and Thomas Show. The Let's talk about it. 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 On the Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Hello. Thank you for sticking around. I am so excited to be bringing someone else to the stage. And I'm going to bring up Dr. Elizabeth Carter. Dr. E, how are you today?
I'm great. And yourself?
I am great. You look beautiful. Oh my goodness. Yes, you do. And you know what? I'm going to bring up Carmen as well. Hello, Miss Carmen. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I am so excited that both of you are here to talk about letters to our corporate sisters. Yes, so needed, so needed. Now, you know what? Originally, I was going to read your bios, but what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to give each of you the floor and allow you to share a little bit about your journey and how you've gotten to this point that you are today. And since Dr. E is the visionary, I'm going to have her start. All right. So I'm going to give you the floor.
Great. Well, again, thank you so much, Vera, for having us on your show this evening. Hello to all of the Vera Thomas fans in the audience and fellow corporate sisters. For me, and I really talk more about why I'm a visionary for this book. I've been in corporate over 25 years, and it has been a struggle between the fact that, unfortunately, there is still a lot of racism, bias, microaggressions that exist in corporate America. So many of us have had challenges trying to move up into just leadership, a manager role, supervisor. I've been so fortunate that I have been able to maneuver, and I won't say it was easy, up the corporate ladder from an individual contributor many years ago through the ranks, a director a few years ago, and promoted to a vice president a little over a year ago at my company. But there are not that many people that look like me. I didn't have any real role models, mentors that could guide me through these turbulent waters of corporate. And I want to be that for the next set of leaders. I want to be that face that they can come to. Talk about what they're seeing, what they're experiencing, understanding if it's real. Is it something that feels uncomfortable, and allow them to thrive from others' experiences? And that's why this book sat on my heart. There are so many women out there who need to hear our stories. And a lot of us have stories to share. So this book is not just a once and done. This will be an ongoing conversation. And I'm so excited about it.
Amen. Amen. Well, I'm excited that you're here to talk about it because work people don't understand. And so many women are leaving corporate America because of all the crap that they go through in the workplace.
Yes.
And that's why we have so many entrepreneurs out here because of how. And so for you to be writing a letter to corporate sisters to keep them there, because we do need to stay. Many those that can, they need to stay because we need that representation.
Yes.
And so I'm going to give Carmen an opportunity to share before I start running my mouth. And so let me give you the floor.
Thank you. So I spent about 15 years as an engineer for a global corporation and had a great career there, but it was definitely full of challenges moving through the ranks. while I was able to get that visibility and different things that I needed to advance in the company, it was definitely a struggle to be a woman, to be a Black Latina engineer in a male-dominated industry. So when this opportunity came along to contribute to the anthology, I knew I had to jump in and give my input on this. Feel like I've got a lot to offer. And then I also have had C-suite careers in government and in B corporations, which are private companies as well. And so I've had this experience from different angles, and definitely understand the struggle and understand we need to give folks the motivation and help them chart their paths as they do kind of go up through those ranks. And hopefully we can kind of pave the way for folks with this anthology and give them some knowledge that maybe we didn't have as we were going through our careers.
That's awesome. Now you mentioned a couple of things. You said C Corp?
B Corporation, which is it's a for-profit corporation with a social mission.
Okay.
So all of the profits are returned to the employees in forms of social programmings, whether it's around food justice or home ownership. And then I was also a C-suite government executive level and government chief strategist for Louisville, Kentucky for a few years.
Oh, wow, that is amazing. And your degree is as an engineer.
Yes, aerospace engineering.
Awesome. That is great. So we have two accomplished women here who have experienced the ups and downs, the successes, the accolades, all the positive things in the workplace, but also some pain, some frustration, some angst, I might even say. So I want you guys to share. I know you don't want to, do you have a copy of the book that you can hold up?
I have a paper copy of the cover. We are still working on the production.
Okay. I love the cover. I love the cover.
So each co-author will also have a paperback version with their picture on the front.
And how many authors are there?
There are 11 total, including myself.
Okay, that is wonderful. That is wonderful. Well, let's talk about some of these issues in the workplace, from the lack of diversity to culture, people understanding the culture of the environment. The culture, people don't understand the importance of understanding and recognizing what type of culture am I getting ready to get into, and it's something that should be determined before you accept the job. Let's talk about that.
Want me to go first?
Go ahead.
That is such an important point. And the challenge that we have, especially as African American women, is that we don't have anyone on the inside before we get there to tell us the truth. It's a lot of work and research to scan websites, and websites will put a persona out of what a company wants you to think the culture is. But it's not until you're on the inside that you really see the true colors. So the challenge is looking for people. It's great that we have LinkedIn and we have expanded networks to find people who are on the inside as you are exploring an opportunity to say, hey, what's it really like inside? What's really going on? How does leadership really, what do they really do? Are they walking the walk and talking the talk, or are they speaking out of both sides of their mouth, essentially? But sometimes you won't know till you get there. And you have to quickly realize that if it's not working, to move on. Often we get in, we realize the culture is not for us, but we hang around and we're mad and we're upset and we're feeling some kind of way, but we're afraid to walk away. And
we're getting sick behind it too.
Yes.
We can physically, staying in an environment that is not fit for you or you are not a fit for, it can cause stomach problems, headaches, mental problems, emotional problems. It can impact on how you eat, how you sleep, how you relate to other people. It can even impact on how you relate to yourself. Right. And so one of the things that I encourage people to do before you even take the job, get a tour, ask for a tour. And as you seek out a tour, observe how people are interacting and engaging with each other. Observe how they even interact and engage with you. that can tell you a lot. So that's one of the things I want to encourage. A tour. Ask for a tour. Ask to spend some time, and okay. Now I know you guys, this is a hot topic for me, clearly.
No, you're right though. I think another thing onto that would be try to find somebody you can interview that's in a higher level. So I think it's specifically to Black women that you can interview at a higher level, because just because a company has put out their DEI statement, just because a company has 2 or 3 Black folks in their higher ranks does not mean that the organization is inclusive. It doesn't mean that they've been able to change their culture, their policy, and their norms to be able to support those folks who have made it. So those folks on those higher levels are taking all kinds of shots to be up there. And so it's a weird catch-22, because you want to stay up there and you want to stay so that you can help folks that look like you in the organization, but you're also almost taking on a trauma of being the only one in an organization that really doesn't support you. And so I think being able to find those folks that are higher up, director level and up, I'm talking in some of these organizations, and someone who's going to be real honest with you, and let you know, can I talk to you for 20 minutes really about your day-to-day, not just about the process, the procedure, the standards, the promotion process, none of that. I'm talking, do you experience microaggressions in meetings?
Right.
Do you recognize that your voice isn't heard at the table, and those things that we know that can really hurt your mental while you're at these organizations?
Listen, my audience, you need to clearly understand, you need to write down these things. You need to write down these things, because you need to be able to ask down, nitty gritty questions, just like Carmen is saying, before you take the job. Remember, an interview is a mutual thing. It's you determining whether or not you are a good fit for this place, and also whether or not they determine you to be a good fit. It's a two-way street. And so you have every right to ask the kind of questions that you need to ask to determine whether or not this is going to be a good fit. And so some of those questions, and we need to write those out. And also, Dr. E, if you could just write out in the private chat how we can get in touch with you, I would appreciate it.
Absolutely. And just one comment around that, and we were talking about the interview process. The most important person in the interview process is actually the person that meets you at the front desk and brings you upstairs to the interview, because that person is usually a higher level person's administrative assistant. She knows a lot. She's seen a lot. So that conversation on the elevator ride up and the elevator ride back down and out is also another telltale sign about what's happening inside the organization. I learned that a long time ago.
Yes. And let's talk about those questions. Get a pencil and a piece of paper so that you can write these things down. And young people that are just getting out of college and you want a corporate job, take the advice of the wise. And write down these answers, write down these questions. And one of the other things, and I love the fact that behavior interview questions are asked in an interview, but you can ask those questions of the person that's interviewing you as well.
That's right.
And so don't there's no shame. Don't think, oh, I can't ask questions. Yes, you can, and you should. Absolutely. Okay. I'm going to be quiet. Okay. So, all right, let's see. Okay, I was looking to see if we had any comments coming in. All right, so let's talk about some of these questions. And I hope you guys have gotten a pencil and a piece of paper, or a pen and a piece of paper, or use your phone and put the questions in there, so that when you're on the interview, you can just say, yeah, I do have a couple questions. Let me ask. So, all right, let's talk about the culture, because you got your assumed group values, and then you got the actual ones, and so and the artifacts. When you walk into a place, Look at what's around you. That will tell you a lot about the culture as well. What kinds of things, what kind of artifacts are in that person's office? What type of artifacts are on the outside? What is the message that's being sent when you walk into that door? What is the message? And you can feel, and you can also feel atmosphere. You can feel what's going on in the atmosphere. I remember walking into a company that I was doing training for, and when I walked in the place, it was the negativity was so thick. I mean, you could cut it with a knife. It was so thick. And so be aware of those, be cognizant of those things. All right, I'm going to let you guys.
I feel like one thing that I've noticed just across industries, across sectors, is you got this idea of a disconnect, right, from C-suite and director level down, and so I think it's really important to understand, I guess, from a process perspective, what are my opportunities to give my feedback to leadership? So if I were to take this position, as a supervisor or a manager, what opportunities do I have, or what ways do I have to give my feedback about my boss or an improvement idea or whatever it is to my boss's boss?
And can you give me an example of when that was demonstrated?
Exactly. Because I think, I've worked at places, it's an open door policy, call me whenever or whatever. And then your direct report is like, wait, what are you doing? Why did you go over me? Like, what, you're trying to show me up. When in actuality, as leaders, as the C-suite, I want to know what, my frontline folks are saying, because there's a hole in my strategy or a hole in my execution somewhere. And I need that feedback to get better as an organization. So I think as a person coming in to a place where, you want to feel included, you want to feel like you belong, the best way to do that is to have access to those internal resources and those internal processes to be able to give your feedback so that it's included in strategy and initiatives and things of that nature.
Absolutely. And asking, because they can tell you, just like you said, we have an open door policy, we do this, we do that. But then, asking, well, can you give me an example of a time when that was the case? And if they have to really think about it, I mean, that may be saying something too. You know what I'm saying?
Or if they say the only thing is employee engagement surveys, because that doesn't matter.
Right.
It's segregated and anonymous and all of that. So no, like, you need to have multiple ways, formal and informal, to be able to give that feedback and have it included and considered.
Absolutely. And if they say they don't have, then the next question is, well, how open are you to implementing something like that? Because I can help you do that.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
You guys are getting some nuggets here, let me tell you. Okay.
One thing I always like to ask, especially when I'm getting started, is what type of mentoring and sponsorship programs do you have? And then how are you developing your talent, especially your diverse talent? Because there are specific needs that diverse folks need that the majority may not need. And depending on how the person responds is going to be whether or not they know or not is first. And then second, if what they describe is very weak, and I'll ask about success, because the intent of those programs is about retention. We bring great employees in, but we have trouble keeping them. And why is that? So first, around what's your retention of your diverse population? And then secondly, what are you doing to cultivate them, groom them, grow them, and retain them?
You guys, I hope you're hearing this. You need to be writing these things down. We could avoid a lot of headache if we ask these kinds of questions. I'm telling you. All right. It sounds like this. Now, these are things that are in your book, right?
We've got all types of stories and takeaways and lessons in the book.
Awesome. We're just giving you nuggets right now, okay? You got to buy the book. And can you I need you to give me some information so I can put it up here.
All right, I've got my email. I didn't have my keyboard. I had to go get it. So now I've got it. And then I think
all right, we've got all right. Okay, great. We've got a comment here. Hello, it's Marlo. I went into a corporate place at the ripe age of 23. I was looked at like I was a specimen. So I said, do any Black people work here? And the girl was shocked. I felt so good. You know, I mean, the thing is, and especially back in the Midwest, I'm from Ohio, and you can be in places where you are the only minority. You know, I mean, I've had several jobs where I was the only minority, you know, and it makes you feel some kind of way when you're not being treated the way everybody else is. And you know, and then, oh my goodness, and then just to be called on the carpet for things that other people might not have been called on the carpet for. You know what I'm saying?
That happens. Yes.
And
it's interesting, just a comment to the person that put the question in, the comment. It is interesting when you ask the question and they are shocked because you asked. They're not shocked because they already know that there are no other. They're just shocked that you were brave enough to ask. But we have to be braver in asking the question. That will be the only way they will make change, because now we've put them on notice about the fact that they don't have any or not enough or need to work on it. And that will be how we'll get better at being at the table and be able to really, you know, add value and help these companies thrive, because they need us.
And let me say this, if you are visiting an establishment and you visit them on a regular basis and you don't see any people that look like you there, it's time to ask some questions. Mm-hmm. I remember going to an eyeglass, Pearl Vision, and I used to go in there all the time to get my glasses, and I never saw any Blacks working there. And this one day when I went in, I asked them, I said, you know, I've been coming here for several years and I have never seen a Black person work here. Why is that? And they said, oh, well, they don't apply. The next time I went, guess what? They had a Black person working there. We need to call it like we see it. Mm-hmm. And it's not so much what we say, but how we say it that can make all the difference in the world. But so if you're, you know, and again, it's not, I live in Atlanta right now, so it's no such, I have yet to see one place where there are no Black folks working. You know, but that is not the case in Ohio. It's not. And if you live in areas where it's predominantly white and you don't see Black folks working in establishments where you frequent, you might want to start asking questions. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. Okay.
And they use the excuse they can't find talent, right, or that none have applied.
Right.
Because if you walk in and don't see anyone that looks like you, you don't want to be the first. That's scary.
Right. Right. Especially if you're a young person, mm-hmm, you know, especially if you're a young person. And young people can be intimidated easily by how people treat them in the workplace. And we're talking about college grads that are moving up the corporate ladder, and they've got this entry level position that is still higher up than what a regular uneducated person would have. Speak up. And if you have to cause good trouble, I just thought I'd throw that out there. If you got to cause good trouble, cause a little good trouble to make a difference in people's lives. Okay. This is a topic that I really obviously embrace. But this is your show. You guys need to talk more. Okay. So I'll be quiet. What more can you tell us about the book?
Well, again, we have 11 co-authors. Each come from different perspectives pertaining to their journey in corporate. Some of us are still working in corporate. Some have left corporate and gone into entrepreneur, private sector. I have a few that are retired and are sharing their history around their journey when they were in corporate, and just all encouraging. Again, the subtitle is Stories of Endurance, Elevation, and Encouragement, because we have been able to endure. We have been through the trenches. We have come out on the other side better and more powerful. And we want to encourage others who are feeling frustrated, deflated, not quite sure what they're doing, seeing imbalance in the workplace, and feel as if they are stuck and maybe want to leave corporate forever. We want to encourage them to stay, hang in there. There's lots of great opportunities for us in corporate, but we just need to have the tools and information. That's what we need, information on how to navigate. And this book helps people do that.
Okay, so I'm going to play the devil's advocate here. You're telling me that we need more of us in corporate America. Yet, we're in corporate America and we're treated like less than. So what tools can you give me? What advice can you give me to make me want to stay in an environment that is not treating me what I'm not giving, not allowing me to really live up to and work up to my full potential because of how I'm being treated?
Well, I'll respond first. So if Carmen, you want to go first?
No, you go ahead. I'll come right behind you though.
All right. So what I think, first of all, the George Floyd incident really shifted corporate thinking. Now they're all still towing the line because they don't know what they don't know. But there are a lot of companies that are shifting and are embracing the fact that the world is diverse. If you are trying to sell goods and services, you need the insight of the consumer inside your company telling you what kind of marketing we like, telling you what kind of products we need, telling you what we read, where we go, what we purchase. Without knowing that, you can't sell to any minority group because you're thinking about what you think they need without asking them. So we need these diverse voices, and we are very smart. We are innovative. We are intelligent. We understand what's going on in the world better than the majority because they live in a bit of a bubble, I would say. We have a more rounded sense of what's going on, and they need our voices. Again, not every company is quite at the point where they need to be, but as long as we keep being vocal, keep speaking out, keep letting them know where they can be doing better, then more companies will be more embracing of us. And there'll be a lot fewer of those companies that are still operating in what I call the good old boys club.
And what they don't understand is when you negate diversity, you are putting yourself back. You're setting yourself back, because you cannot, like you said, Dr. E, we bring so much to the table. So much to the table. But that's another part of the problem because they know that.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, they're going to do everything in their power to keep us down. Mm-hmm. And oh my goodness. And so being able to understand, we need to clearly understand what we're bringing to the table. Correct. We need to not shrink and feel like we can't speak up. And documentation, that's the other thing. When you're dealing with stuff, you gotta learn how to document yourself and document what's going on with facts and evidence. So oftentimes we get caught up in what's going on with us that everything we're writing is so emotional. Mm-hmm. And we're doing all this emotional stuff. I feel and I believe. No.
Yeah.
Facts and evidence, dates and times, incidents. You know, I should have been in your book, you know.
I think to kind of piggyback on what you're saying is, you know, when I was in corporate, I feel like the best thing that happened was I was able to find some mentors and sponsors that were white men who took it upon themselves to either bring me in the room or, you know, put me on projects and give me visibility to things that I never would have had I tried to do it all myself. So I think it's important, you know, and some corporations are recognizing, you know, the importance through, say, the implementation of employee resource groups. And unfortunately, they kind of stop there. But the good thing about employee resource groups, if done correctly, is that it will expose folks to leadership members that maybe they wouldn't have always had the chance to. So some companies will have, you know, a white male be the executive sponsor of the African American employee resource group or something like that. So having access to those channels, but then when you get the opportunity, if you have your accomplishments documented, if you know your career journey or the different parts of the company that you want exposure to, take that opportunity to go straight up to that leader and have that conversation. I think the more, the better you can advocate for yourself, the more clearly you can explain what you've done and where you want to be, the more willing folks are wanting to help you and pull you into those rooms. And so I was very fortunate to have two white male engineers where I worked kind of not necessarily take me under their wing. I wouldn't say it was a mentor relationship. It was, hey, you're coming with me to this meeting. Hey, you're going to work on this project. Because they did, you know, see that potential, but I was also vocal about, hey, why is it that when I come to present to this meeting, it's all white people? And I did say it like that because it gets annoying after a while, right? But like, why is it all white people? All the leadership is white people. Like, come on, y'all. You have so many talented folks that look like me, Black men, Latino folks all over the place. Why aren't we getting these opportunities? And so as I would get those opportunities, now I turn right around and I push them back on, okay, I can't be the only reason. I can't be your only diversity checkbox. You've got to bring some other folks in the room. And so I think as these companies, you know, since 2020, we do have that opportunity to start calling people, you know, to the carpet. Like, you said this about diversity. You said you wanted to do X. Then why am I still looking around and it looks like it did pre-2020 or before you put out your statement, right? So I think being able, one, to, you know, kind of, you know, have all your ducks in a row from a personal standpoint, but then also going further in the organization and pushing them to really do what they said they were going to do and make sure that diversity does not mean one person that check, you know, a Black woman checks 2 boxes on their diversity tracker or whatever it's going to be, and make sure that you're being very vocal about that and kind of bringing folks along. And even if, you know, they don't do it, at least they know, you know, where you stand. And I think building that case, you eventually build momentum, and then they have no choice but to act.
Right. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes. And speaking up, calling it like you see it. Calling it like you, don't be scared. You can't be scared. You can't. You have to speak up. All right, I have a commercial I got to do, so I'll be right back. We'll be right back, okay?
We are having an event February 24th to the 26th in the beautiful city of Miramar Cultural Center, only 25 minutes away from Miami. Founder Kessa Guden and Commissioner Maxwell B. Chambers of the city of Miramar is putting on a huge event called a Global Awaken Summit and VIP Gala. We would love for you to be there. This is an event you don't want to miss. We have over 35 speakers, each speaker's worth ranging from $3,000 to see them live in person. But at the Global Awaken Summit, you can get your ticket now for only $97. Call 725-200-1773 now. Or on our website, www.globalawakenedevents.com. We look forward to seeing you there.
Yes, the Global Awakening event, $97 for speakers that you would pay 3,000 or more to hear them. And so call 725-200-1773 or go to Global Awakening Events, $97. The event is this weekend. And also, please support my show. If you get value out of what we're doing here and you hear these awesome women here sharing this powerful information that can help you, then please support my show. You can cash out me $instill great or PayPal or Zelle Vera Thomas Show 1117 at gmail.com. I need your support to bring programs like this on a regular base. So thank you very much, and I appreciate it. Okay, ladies, back to our conversation. You're giving some great nuggets here, and I want to just recap what we said already. First of all, if you're in a corporation and they're telling you that they value diversity, but you don't see it in the boardroom, you don't see it in upper level positions, then ask them about it. You said you believe in this. So why don't I see more representation? There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Dr. E, I know you're shaking your head, so come on.
Yes, you're right. You are right.
Yes.
Because I think what they would normally think, so for example, this is February's Black History Month, and that's kind of their go-to. Well, we have a Black network and we do Black History Month. That's great, but there are several other groups that similarly need representation. How do we celebrate them? And sometimes they get a little tongue-tied, and because they don't have those employee resource groups represented, they don't have information to understand what that may mean. They don't know how similarly to recruit. Where can you find those types of candidates? The other thing I find around diversity in the workplace is that depending on what city you're in, there's a certain number of targeted schools that the company will go to for talent. And often, again, depending on where you are, those universities are not diverse. So what we do is we source the same that we see, and we don't branch out into some of the other schools, because often the big name schools we can't afford. And there are plenty of beautiful schools that are not as expensive, great state schools, schools that give us scholarships based on not just need, but our talent and our grades. And we are just as talented as those individuals coming out of those, the Big 10, Big 4, whatever schools those are. But we tend not to send HR there. And just a backup, a lot of times our HR departments are not diverse. That's where it really starts. So if you're not sending somebody out that looks like the group you're trying to attract, it gets difficult. That's another area. If we do not have representation in the ranks where we are looking for candidates, they are not going to walk up to someone that doesn't look like them, because again, it's back to culture. If I'm at a job fair, I've got kids coming to me. They want to know what's it like being Black at my company. They couldn't go up to a white HR person and ask that question because they won't know. So until we send people that look like us out to find others that look like us, it will just be the same of the same that they have.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I've encouraged are career surveys for high school students and also college grads, and going in and asking those kinds of questions, up front. What is it that you like about your job? What do you dislike about your job? How do you see diversity in this environment? Before you even, and then of course asking for advice from other people so that you can get more information from other corporations, and which could even lead to a job. So
that's right.
Mm-hmm. All right, ladies, this is good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So what else do you talk about in the book? Now, do you talk about the work-life balance?
I have one co-author actually talks about being a caregiver. So her transition. The timing just worked out such that she was transitioning out of a nonprofit CEO role just as her parents were starting to get ill with certain dementia, Alzheimer's. So she quickly shifted to become a caregiver. And that's another essence of life, especially, again, similar as minorities, where we become caregivers for our families because financially they may not be able to maintain independence on their own. When we talk about social determinants of health and the fact that a lot of the terminal diseases happen in the African American communities, we start to shift, and now we're taking care, of course, of those who took care of us when we were growing up. So there is one story in the book about that type of transition.
That's an important topic, because a lot of times we have to let go of what it is that we want to do that kind of stuff. And it's rewarding because you've been there for your family.
That's right.
You've been there for your family. So even if you have to put yourself, and I mean, I had to do it myself, put yourself on the back burner for a minute, because family is first and most important. And that can also impact, because once you've done that, and now you want to get back into corporate America, then that poses another problem. So let's kind of talk about that.
Well, I just went through that, actually. Go ahead, Carmen.
No, I was just going to say there's a piece of transparency there that I think says a lot about the culture of the organization that you're in, right? You got something going on. You're like, hey, this is going to change my life potentially for the next, say, 2 years or so if you're taking care of a family member at home. And just being transparent on, this is what it is. I've got to take care of family. And your boss may say, yes, please do that. Let us know, what we can do to help. And then when it comes time to re-enter the organization or get back on, your career path to be promoted or what have you, then you meet resistance. And so I think that speaks a lot to the culture of the organization where, either you care about me or you don't. Or, am I just a cog in the machine, or is this really a company that cares about its people and can work with me in such a way where I'm still considered, for a promotion or still considered for a lateral or new responsibilities when those opportunities come available. And then let's have a conversation. Let me tell you that, no, this isn't the right time. Don't decide for me. Right. That's a way that organizations, I think they mess themselves up all of the time where, I care about my people, but then I'm just going to assume that this is what you need. You don't need this on your plate right now. When in actuality, I may have made some moves at home. Maybe we've got extra help. And now, you know what? I can take that opportunity and do both at the same time. So I think that transparency element, not just from you as an employee, but also from your company and your management team, is really important as you navigate some of those personal challenges.
Absolutely. And speaking of, because I know that a lot of women that are in corporate America are also parents, young parents at that. And so being able to balance and deal with the demands of corporate America and the demands of being a parent as well. Have you had any authors talk about that?
I'm trying to think of the 11. I've looked at every single one. I'm not remembering that specifically. It was more about things happening in the workplace. But I know specifically for me, a lot of what happens to me now comes from, growing up and all. And to speak about, the caregiving piece, I just experienced that. And fortunately, COVID was very helpful because my mother does have dementia and Alzheimer's. And to be home the last 2 years with her was great because there were several times that we ended up at the hospital. And had I been at work, I don't know necessarily what would have happened had I not been here. And what I had to do thinking about shifting is that now they're asking us to come back into the office. And I realized that early on. So I had been investigating assisted living facilities for her. And I just moved her earlier this month into one. And it broke my heart. But she is living a life now. It's like a country club. She gets 3 meals a day. She's up, she's doing activities, she's walking, she's exercising. I talked to her on the phone. She's so much happier. financially, it's a bit of a strain for both of us, but it is so needed. And I had to really just say, you know what, I've got to make this work. And you sacrifice. So I'll sacrifice now, helping make those payments until the time that things change. But I am so blessed to be able to do that. Not many families are able financially, and then they are struggling and they may need to quit their job because they can't get to work every day. They're worried about someone at home. They don't have help. So it's an important conversation. And as companies think about what they can do as far as benefits, I would say most companies now have paternal leave. You never heard that. You had maternity leave, but now we are offering the men time to be home with newborns. So I think culturally, in that sense, corporate's becoming a more kinder, gentler corporate.
Yes.
And we should see more benefits in the spaces where we don't normally talk about it or we don't share and we're not transparent for fear of repercussion or being held back or saying, oh, she can't do, she's got her mother's at home, she can't work extra hours, we can't promote her. Now they are considering the fact that we want to elevate individuals and we will figure out what are the additional needs they have and come together and make it work. So I think that's another area of growth that corporations need to work on, but I've seen some change.
Yes, and it's significant. That is so important. So important. And there was something, I had a senior moment while you were talking. So I don't remember what I was going to say, but it would have been important, but
what great topics you bring up, Vera, and just, to promote the next volume of Letters to My Corporate Sisters. There were so many stories to be told. The 11 of us that are in the first book, we have our own individual stories spanning several different moments in our lives, but there are millions and millions and billions of moments. So anyone out there listening who has a story, I would love to have you in the next edition of Letters to My Corporate Sisters.
You hear that, right? You hear that, right? Okay. I know what I was going to ask you. When COVID happened and people started having to work remotely, didn't that cause higher productivity, more effective? Do you feel that was a more effective way of producing in the workplace, or how did you feel about that? Or
I felt more productive. I guess it's pros and cons. I would start earlier because that saved me my commute. My commute is probably about 45 minutes. So instead of me getting in my car at 8 o'clock, I would walk to my office here across the hall at 8 o'clock. So they're getting extra time in the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. Now, what also happens, though, is that there's several distractions in the home between maybe the doorbell or the phone, or maybe the washing machine's calling, or there's something else you want to quickly do because you're here. Mm-hmm. But I think it did help as far as productivity, because now I can work till 10, 11 o'clock at night because I'm sitting here and the computer's still on. So they would have gotten, in my opinion, more work from us. It may not have been the traditional 9 to 5. It might have been 8 to 4 and then 8 to 11, but it freed us up to do what we needed to do since we were home and everybody was home. And there was so much to do to care for those who were here with us in the home.
Mm-hmm. And I'll agree with that. I think it was the accessibility to work changed, and therefore we became more productive. So like she was saying, I could start at 8, but I could take a break at 10 because I've got to do something. Or, you know what, I've got kids, let me get them through, this homeschooling, weird hybrid Google Chrome classroom, whatever it was that everybody had to do. And then start work again at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right? And work till 7. So I think the flexibility that we were allowed during COVID was really helpful. And I think, though, there was a shift. I feel like the more people got used to working at home, the more it kind of shifted to we have to do everything all day, all the time. So I'm going to pack your schedule with meetings from 8 to 5 and then just work on it after that. We'll talk to you tomorrow, right? So I think the weird thing about COVID is we were all experiencing the same thing at the same time and trying to navigate all of that. And organizations were also trying to navigate what that actually meant, especially those organizations where you still had to do in-person jobs, right? You still had UPS drivers, you still had post office folks, you still had sanitation workers for government. Like there were still janitors that were trying to keep everything clean, right? So you still had those organizations that were in this hybrid format of how do we keep our frontline workers safe, but then you got the support folks that could work at home. So I feel like once organizations figured it out, there was still almost this fight of how do we make it seem like we're back in the office, but not really, right? And so I think even now, as you were talking about, Dr. E, of different places, being okay, now you have to come back to work, or at least let's make it a hybrid schedule. Now, I feel like you've got kind of some gatekeepers, maybe old school leaders that are wanting things to go back to normal and not recognizing that it will never go back to normal. We've been able to work, 2.5 years in this hybrid or remote format, and you've just got to figure out how to flex and progress, right? And I feel
absolutely, like because it seems to me like even though it was out of necessity, it was more productive for employers to have, knowing that their people are doing the work and cutting down on travel time. I mean, parking. And all those other expenses just to make $1. I mean, remote was, it would seem to me that they would think about keeping it that way. For those that feel comfortable doing it, because you can get so distracted in the workplace when you're doing stuff and you got deadlines that you're trying to meet, and yet you want to co-mingle and deal with your co-workers and have that social time with them on the job, but you're paid to work. I got into trouble for that because I was there at work and I was told, Vera, why don't you mingle more with people? You're not paying me to do that.
Not in the job description. You're right.
Right. I've got over 200 clients and you want me to socialize? Really? I really got written up for that. Can you believe it?
Actually, yes.
Wow. And I'm a social person. I love people. Can't you tell? But when I've got a job to do, I want to do my job. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I know that's off topic, but I thought I'd throw it out there anyway, because it is a part of what we experience, in the workplace, which is also even in corporate, being in corporate high level positions, that inner activity still has to exist. And sometimes I can imagine that can be challenging,
right?
Especially when, you got this high level position, the company wants you to have an open door policy, and it's a dichotomy because you need to be able to do what you need to do, but yet you still need to be able to socialize. So okay.
Lots of night work and weekends.
Right, exactly. When it doesn't have to be. Okay, anyway. All right. Well, listen, I do need to do another commercial. And then I can't believe this hour is almost up. Can you believe it?
Fast.
It did go fast. Well, that's what happens when you're having fun, Okay. So anyway, I'm going to run another commercial, and then I'm going to give each of you time to share some things as we close out. Okay. if you want to know how to save your money, hold on to your money, and not focus so much on what the government is doing with our money, then you want to check out soundmoneybenefits.com. Soundmoneybenefits.com. It's a new way of holding on and saving your money without relying on the government. When you consider the dollar is only worth about 3 cents right now, we need to look at ways to hold on to our money. And Sound Money Benefits is one of the ways that you can do that. So check it out, www.soundmoneybenefits.com. Okay, ladies, I am going to give each of you the floor to share whatever it is you want to share, and just some words of encouragement to our corporate sisters out there that may have felt challenged before they saw this show.
You want to go ahead, Carmen?
Yes, I can go first. Without giving too much away of what my letter is about from the book, I will say make sure that you know and understand and can clearly articulate what you bring to the table. I think a lot of organizations are looking for growth, and so I definitely encourage a continuous learning mindset. You know what your skill sets are, you know where you want to be, and then also understand the help and learning that you need to get there, whether it be in the organization that you're in there or a different corporation you may have your eye on. I think just being really clear on your current skill set and your growth plan, and being able to reach out to folks and articulate that and get the help that you need will definitely take you far on your career journey.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that, Dr.
Yes.
E.
I would say now is the time to seize opportunities. There is quite the competition for talent. Right now, there's a plethora of opportunities. As you know, Carmen mentioned, you know exactly what you bring to the table. You know the value you have added in the past. You know the unique skill set that you bring that no one else does. And if you don't think that you're unique enough, I would encourage you to explore your passion. What is it that you don't mind doing every single day without getting paid? That's your passion. How can you then leverage that into the workplace? And that may be a way in which you become more engaged in what you do. I found my passion in training and development, but I work in finance. And how I was able to leverage that made me a very unique person. I got involved in several different projects. I met a lot of people I would not have met otherwise. So we have to expand our mindset about who we are and what we do. Don't feel siloed. You know, either you're in sales, you're in HR, you're in underwriting, you're in product. Expand what you do, and that will expand who you know. And that's where the opportunities come from. So I encourage you all, lean in, step out on faith, be uncomfortable, because the comfort zone is no fun. Nothing good happens there. Go out into discomfort, and that's where you'll gain the growth and the opportunities. And please, of course, purchase the book when it comes out in May. In March. I keep saying May. March, in about 3 weeks.
Yeah. So hopefully we can get some of the other authors on to talk more about this. Veronica says, awesome. And she says, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Amen. That's right. Absolutely. Well, listen, ladies, thank you so much for being here. And I do want to talk to you about some things coming up. And so if you guys don't mind holding on do you have a few minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Then what I want to say to my listening audience, thank you very much. Please remember my sponsors. And again, please like, share, subscribe to the Vera Thomas Show on YouTube, and also on my Facebook page, and also on LinkedIn. So thank you very much. And also let me say, my show is extended through Thursday as well. And this Thursday, I have Hawthorne James as my guest. He is one of the actors in the 5 Heartbeats. He was Big Red. This guy is phenomenal. And he's going to be my guest this Thursday at 7 o'clock. So tune in. All right. Well, thank you very much. And I love you all. Thank you again for watching. And we will see you again next week. Oh, no, we'll see you on Thursday. Yes.
The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk about it. Let's talk.